It's Deborah again, and I have the first sock completed. Yay! I have to do some weaving in of ends, but that's about the extent of it for the first one. I want to just point out a couple things here on this sock. I had said earlier in one of the videos that I had noticed laddering taking place, and you can kind of see it here. It's this dark line that's going up along here. And I don't always have that problem, but sometimes I do. And I'm not about to rip out all these stitches to frog this thing, because a lot of times washing and then wearing will change things. But what I did do was I tried something different on at the beginning of each needle. When I got to it, because I used circulars, I knitted into the back loop of the first stitch instead of knitting into the front, and it did away with the laddering. So you can't really tell that I did that by looking at it. You don't see any difference, and maybe a lot of it has to do with the type of yarn and the color of it. But I did that, and that eliminated the laddering issue for me. Now, my cuff, I did the Knit 2 Purl 2 cuff, and there's 2 inches of it here. And for my bind off, I did the Jenny's Amazingly Stretching Bind Off that is available on YouTube by Planet Purl. Super simple, gives you a really nice stretch. I have had in the past when doing toe-up socks issues with my cuffs. When it came to the bind off, I'd bind them off and they'd be too tight. Couldn't get my foot in them. So Jenny's Amazing Stretchy Bind Off is a really, really great bind off to use, and I suggest that you take a look at her video of that. Here's my heel that I did, my pie wedge shaped heel, and I'm real happy with the way it turned out. I'm very happy with my toe. There's no holes, and it's rounded, and I like that. And I did these out of the Toe Footsies yarn. This is my second skein here, and it's going to become a sock hat or a scarf or something. Anyhow, it's going to become something cute. I've started putting on I casted all my stitches for my new sock, my second sock for the toe, and it's coming along nicely. Really happy with this recipe that this girl has. It's Lynn Ashton, and it is seam-free rounded toe for toe-up sock. It is free, and it is available on Rivalry. Very, very easy to do. Very nice sock. I noticed that there's something that I have noticed with my knitting of socks, and I've been knitting quite a few, and they're basically all vanillas. I've only done a couple with patterns. But the smaller of a needle that you use, the denser your stitches are, and I believe you're going to get a better wear out of your sock. Or socks when you use a smaller needle size. It's just going to wear better for you. So that is a suggestion for you to think about, using smaller needles, which you end up with a lot more stitches, I know. Lots of fun. Now, for those of you who are just starting knitting socks, or thinking of knitting socks, and you're thinking, oh my God, all those tiny stitches. Well, here you go. I made these for my great-grandbaby. Yes, I'm old enough to, well, I don't know that I'm old enough to have a great-grandbaby, but I have one. And this is a pair of socks that I made for Jaden, and I have to get to him because he's going to outgrow them before anything else. And I really suggest that if you want to give socks a try, you know, you might be happier doing baby socks, just little toddler socks. And right here, if you see, this is the gusset. This is the gusset that I was talking about. Your instep is up here. Your foot is down here, your toe is here, and you have your heel, and I believe they call this the heel flap if you're doing cuff down. And then, of course, your cuff. And I did the stretchy bind off on his little socks as well. But they're only like, his little foot was 4 inches long, so I did the toe. I knitted 1.5 inches of sock foot, and then the rest of it was his heel. So I did pretty good. They fit him very well. I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't have his little foot to go to measure as I was making them. And these knit up really quick, and you don't, if you're new at it, it's something that you can do, and if you mess up and you feel like you need to either tink back or frog back, you don't have miles and miles and miles of knitting to undo. So it's not quite so daunting if you have to start over. So that's just a little suggestion there. I said something about that I had knitted with Red Heart yarn socks. Here's a pair of socks that I knitted. It's navy blue, so they're dark, dark, dark. And I still have my weaving of ends in to do. But they're guy socks. And the, you know, just as there's a sweater curse, well, there's a toe curse too when it comes to men. So, I still have the socks. The man is gone. Lucky me, right? I kept the socks. I figure I'll gift them to somebody along the way, somewhere along the line. Maybe one of my kids or grandkids. But anyhow, they're made out of the Red Heart. And you know, I knit them up in 2 days' time. They were quick. And very, very easy to knit. I don't remember what size needle. I think probably a size 3 needle is what I used to knit these. And I did the same heel on these, I believe, that I did on the other pair. So that's my Red Heart socks out of acrylic. And you know, they do stretch. They don't have a lot of stretch, but I have noticed that with all socks, here is one good hint. With all socks, they stretch. And the more you wear them throughout the day, they seem to get bigger and bigger. So keep that in mind when knitting your socks and casting on. A little snug probably isn't a bad thing because they do stretch. Another pair of socks that I knitted, and I just love these. They are like heaven on my feet, and I have a pair of purple ones, deep purple ones as well. I found this yarn at Tuesday Mornings, which is a discount store, and it's a discount home goods store, and they have started, for whatever reason, carrying craft products and yarn and knitting needles and things, which is just wonderful because the prices are typically half off and sometimes more. I've gotten some beautiful knitting books for next to nothing. And when I say next to nothing, I mean next to nothing. When you pay $5 for a $30 book, that's next to nothing in my book. But I came across this yarn, and it's Wisdom Yarns. And it says it's perfect for sweater, shawl, and sock project. And it's Psyche Bamboo Solids. It is so soft. So very, very soft. And I have knit 2 pairs of socks out of it. And I absolutely love it. And this came from Tuesday Mornings. And if you see right here, you can see the original price was $8, and I picked it up for $2.99. So I was tickled, and I've been really happy with the way these feel on my feet. And I have a problem with neuropathy in my feet, and they're very cold. My feet are cold all the time for the most part. So I've been on a sock knitting binge because I wear them just to bed. Help keep my feet warm, and I find that any yarn that has a wool content in it really helps with getting my feet warmed up. Any other type of sock fiber, like regular store-bought socks, they don't get my feet warm. I can't get a warm foot, so it has to have wool in it, and they're not itchy. I have a pair of, these are some of the first socks that I made. These are my stripy socks, self-pattering. It is Lion Brand Sockies yarn. I think these were knit cuff down. And I think this is the partridge heel here. But it's a nice little heel. It was a decent sock to make. It was some of my beginning socks that I knitted. And of course I started knitting socks top down. So, and this one has held up very well. I do not do the Kitchener stitch on the toes. I do the way my mother did her socks when she was a kid growing up in Canada, and she's 78 years old now. But I just simply knit to the last 8 stitches on my needle, and then I cut the yarn, leaving a long tail, and I put it through the blunt eye of a needle, and pull them together, just like you do on hats. And it's not uncomfortable to wear. I thought it would be, and I have actually worn these socks in my tennis shoes, and I thought, I'm not going to like this. They are just fine. I've done a lot of my socks like this, and they're fine. And Kitchener stitch is just not my cup of tea. And what's really nice is, actually, they lay very nicely. When you lay them out, they lay out really nice. And I don't block my socks. I knit them, and I wear them. And you can see here, too, the gusset. Here is your gusset. So that's that proverbial gusset that in the beginning of my sock knitting escapades, this is what probably stumped me the most and created my 6-month period of going crazy and ready to tear my hair out on the sock knitting process. I wanted to do it so bad, and it just befuddled me. It just made no sense. So that is one of those. And then here's another pair. These were knit on a bigger needle, and these were toe up. So these are the Lion Brand sockies as well. It's funny how cuff downs look differently than toe ups. Toe ups seem to be long and narrow, and cuff downs seem to be more stubby, for lack of better words. But these were one of the ones that I did, and I had to find a new bind off because the original bind off was too tight and I couldn't get them up and over my foot. And this was my first pair. In fact, I think this is my only pair that I actually did a different toe and heel color, and I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. It took me a little bit of thought with the heel part, but I managed to muddle my way through it. The toe was really simple because when I finished with it, I just, switched over the yarn and started my rust color or pumpkin color of yarn. But the heel, I had to sit and think about it some so that I didn't end up with the green up here on top of my instep. So anyhow, that's where you end up learning how to wrap your yarns together so that it binds your stitches together, but you're not carrying the same color of yarn throughout one place into another. So that being said, try taking a look at Jenny's amazing stretchy bind off on YouTube with Planet Pearl, and then also with Lynn Ashton's seam free rounded toe for the toe up sock, and that's on Ravelry. So I hope that this inspired some of you all. I don't have a stand for my cell phone to be able to do videos hand-free. I'm hoping to find one in the near future so that I can do that, so I can actually show some of the things that I'm working on. I have a lot of projects in the works, and apparently that seems to be something that we all suffer from. WIP, works in progress, and I have far too many of them, and they're starting to haunt me. I keep thinking, oh, I really need to get them done. But I have some ideas of things that I want to talk about, and I will get to them later on. And happy sock knitting, ladies and gentlemen. Knitting is for everyone. It doesn't matter how old, how young, or whether you're a girl or a boy. We can all do it and have a lot of fun. Y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye.